Yes, so my people, I am live again, and I was trying to make this video earlier this week, but something happened to the internet. I have no idea what was going on with the internet for a while, but I decided to make this video today. So, um, if you look at the topic, it says a Muslim man went to church and told the Christian to stop thinking. Literally, that's what this Muslim is gloating about. So we are going to see what this Muslim went to church and told the Christians in the church. It's totally illogical, you know. So he claimed he went to a Christian church, and we are going to look and see what he told the Christians in the Christian church. Before we start, we want to say all praises to the God of creation, the God above all God, the triune God, the God who give us wisdom to think and to decipher things. All praises to the Father who sent his Son, Christ Jesus, and all praises to Christ Jesus for accepting our death upon himself, and all praises to the Holy Spirit who remind us of what Christ has done for us. So let's get into it. So here we are. We're gonna share this video real fast, and I will show you how these Muslims are thinking. And it's just, to me, it's just crazy how these Muslims are thinking. So here we go. Do you see what this guy saying? So the most special spot that they save for, they went to a Christian church. This naive guy, he's saying that he went to a Christian church, and he is telling the Christians in the church to put aside their belief for a minute. That literally, that's what he's saying. Put aside your belief for a minute and look at the reverence that Muslims have for Jesus, that they would save a spot to be buried beside Muhammad. Wow. It's very, very early in the show, and I normally I wait to the end to give people the present that they deserve. But I just believe that this guy here, man, need a present real fast. There's something definitely not right with the mind of this guy. He lost his mind. So I'm not gonna wait to give him the present that he deserves, because this guy need to have something. He's too man, such a beautiful guy. Wow. So let's give him the present that he deserves, because he deserves something beautiful. Isn't this dude a donkey? A straight up donkey. So he go to a Christian church, and he is going to tell the Christians to set aside their belief for a while, and then he's going to tell them that, oh, what reverence they have for Jesus, that they would bury Jesus beside Muhammad. Wow. That when Jesus come back, they're saving a spot for him to be buried beside Muhammad. Wow. What is wrong with the head of that guy? Is something wrong with him? Let's show you guys something. So the Christian need to set this aside. As a Christian, you need to set all this aside and think of the stupidity of this Muslim. So you must set all this aside, all that you know about Jesus aside. Like this, let me show you something that we know about Jesus. And we must set that aside and think about Jesus being buried beside Muhammad. Wow, what a beautiful guy. Listen to this. So we must set this aside right here. Let me show you guys what we need to set aside. So we are going to set this aside. All these things that we know about Jesus, we are going to set it aside. So look at this right here. This beautiful verse from the Bible. We are going to set this one aside. This is John, the disciple of Jesus, talking. He said, when I saw him, I fell at his feet like a dead man. And he placed his right hand on me, saying, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last, and the living one. And I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys of death and Hades, the keys of death and the grave. And this Muslim is going to tell us we should have a mushy feeling in our stomach, because Jesus is going to come back and die and be buried beside the pedophile Muhammad. Jesus is going to come back and die and buried beside a man who captured women and allowed his men to have sex with them and then sold them as slaves. Jesus is going to come back and be buried beside a man who lusted for his adopted son's wife and did not stop until he wrote a Quranic verse that gave him the privilege to take his adopted son's wife, and at the same time disown his adopted son. His adopted son was called Zayd bin Muhammad. And after that, the boy's name, because it is shameful for you to have sex with your son's wife. So he disowned the boy as an adopted son who have his name, took the man's wife, sleep with the man's wife. Jesus is going to come back and be buried beside a man who saw a woman going down the street and could not control his sexual urge. So he ran home to the very wife that he stole from his adopted son to have sex. Then he came back to his companion and said, a woman advanced like the devil. So the woman who was just walking down the street is the devil, and he's not the devil. Jesus is going to be buried beside a man who said he have a devil with him that was commanding him for good. All these things we can find in the Hadith. And Jesus, we should feel gushy in our stomach to think that Jesus is going to come back and be buried beside Muhammad. Wow. Did you see here? John, the disciple of Jesus, said, I saw him and I fell at his feet like a dead man. He fell at the Messiah's feet like a dead man. And he placed his right hand on me, saying, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last, the living one, and I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys to death and the grave of Hades. But we must feel gushy in our stomach, because this guy came into a Christian church and told us, like, look at the reverence that we have for Jesus. If you reverence Jesus, you would not think that Jesus is going to come back as a dead man to be buried by an evil man as Muhammad is. And let us show you the kind of reverence that this so-called community have for Jesus. Do you notice what he said? So let's play that video back so we could hear what this guy said one more time. We want everybody to hear what this guy said one more time. Listen to this guy. Listen to him. So separate what you believe about Jesus. And he's saying, separate what you believe about Jesus and what he believe about Jesus. But he's going to tell you about the reverence that they have for Jesus. The reverence, how much they highly esteem Jesus. Look at his face. Can you see the devil in this with a crooked smile? That crooked smile that this man have. Look at this. If you reverend Jesus, this Jesus gave us the criterion and how to show reverence to him. Jesus gave us the criterion. Let me find this. I'll show you right here. Jesus gave us the criterion. We don't, you don't reverend Jesus with your mouth. Jesus don't believe in lip service. Faith without work is dead. Jesus don't believe in lip service. So let me show you how you reverend Jesus. Let's do a little mathematic, for a minute. We're gonna do some maths for a minute. So let's share this with you guys and show you how to reverend Jesus. This is how we show reverence for Jesus. You can't use lip service to reverend Jesus. That's not how it goes. So look at this right here. If you notice the topic that I put here, if you make sure you guys can see this real good. If you notice the topic that I put here, it says Muslims do not love Jesus, because this is proven. It's a proven test that no Muslim love Jesus. There are even many who call themselves Christian who do not love Jesus. So listen to this. Here is the criterion to show that you love Jesus. If you're saying that you reverend Jesus, you have reverence for Jesus, you have to show love for Jesus. And Jesus gave the criterion. John 14, verse 15. If you love me, keep my command. You cannot say you love Jesus if you are not keeping his commandment, because this is the criterion. If you love me, keep my commandment. And this is one of Jesus' commandments. Let's look at this. Let's look at Jesus' commandment. Because it is obvious that these Muslims have no idea that we are not serving the same Jesus. We are not in the business with the same Jesus. They don't realize that. It seems like they don't know that. But we have to make them know that we are not in the same business with the same Jesus. So when you go to a church, telling people that Muslims have reverence for Jesus, you are lying to them. Matthew 5, verse 44. I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. How can you say you love or reverend Jesus when you follow a man like Muhammad, who did this to his enemy? Look what Muhammad did to his enemy. And you are going to tell me that we should think about Muhammad, Jesus coming back as a man to die, that it is reverend, and it is we should feel mushy in our stomach when a Muslim said Jesus is coming back to die and he's going to be buried in the most precious place beside Muhammad. Beside Muhammad. God bless you, Olga. Blessing, Connie. Thank you. Thank you, my sister. So look at this. Just look. This is deep. We need to look into this deeply, because this is how crooked the mind of these Muslims think. Look at this. Look at this. This hadith right here, and see if we should feel mushy at any time in our stomach when a Muslim say, oh, we reverend Jesus, Jesus to the point where he's going to be buried beside Muhammad. Buried beside Muhammad? Jesus is going to be buried beside Muhammad. Wow, we need to set aside our belief for a minute and think about Jesus being buried beside Muhammad. Wow. What a stupidity. So look at this. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandment. So that is the criterion to show that you reverend Jesus and you love Jesus. But look what Muhammad did. Jesus told us that in Matthew 5, verse 44, that loving our enemy is one of his commandments. He said, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. So if Muhammad was even persecuted in Mecca before he ran to Medina, he should have come back and show love to the people who persecute him, not this. Oh Allah apostle, we got female as our share of booty, and we are interested in their prices. So these men wanted to sell these women. They wanted money for these women. What is your opinion about coitus interruptus? So coitus interruptus is the withdrawal of the penis before ejaculation. And this is Muhammad's answer. The Prophet said, do you really do that? Do you really do that? Do you really withdraw your penis when you are having sex with captured women? That's what he actually asking them. It is better for you not to do it. It is better for you not to do it. It is better for you not to withdraw your penis, but ejaculate in a captured woman. So you are telling me that Jesus and Muhammad is on the same level? Jesus says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Look what Muhammad did to his enemies. No soul that which Allah has destined to exist, but will surely come into existence. Sahih Bukhari 34, 432. Muhammad allowed his men to have sex with women, ejaculating them, then sold them as slaves. That's not the only thing that Muhammad did. Muhammad, in the battle of Khaybar, Muhammad ravaged the community, killed the men, killed people, killed women, captured women, captured children, killed the men. And then he captured this man, and he heard that the man had wealth. Muhammad light a fire on the chest, allow his men to light a fire on the chest of the man, so the man would reveal where he hid his wealth. Muhammad was a mob boss, and this man went into a church, and the people in the church should feel mushy in their stomach because this man says, let me show you what he says. Let me show you what he says. Let me show you what he says. So this is what he says. Here is this man trying to make Christian feel mushy. So the most special place for these Muslims, and I'm gonna let him continue. So the most special place for these Muslims, guess what? Is where Muhammad is buried. Okay, listen to him. So the most special place for these Muslims is the burial ground of Muhammad. Do you see how naive this guy is? So let's show you something. So we should set aside our belief. This is what we should set aside. Look at the belief that we have as Christians, and we should set aside this belief that we have and listen to this conniving man. So listen to the belief. These are the beliefs that we should set aside. So this is one belief that we have. Here is another one from the disciple Peter. 1 Peter 3, verse 18. For Christ also suffered. So make sure that it can be seen here. So, for Christ also suffered for sins once for all time, the just for the unjust, so that he might bring us to God, having been put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the spirit. So Christ is alive. Here we have two disciples telling you that Christ is alive. And we must feel mushy and gushy in our stomach for this naive man going into a church telling us that Muhammad, Jesus will come again and die and be buried beside Muhammad. Can you imagine this? That Jesus will come again and die and be buried beside Muhammad. What a naive soul. And look at this again. Here we go. Let's continue to read the verses from the Bible that this Muslim is telling us that we should put aside. Here is another one. So we need to put aside this verse and think about Muhammad, the crazy Muhammad. The Son of Man will send forth his angel. So Jesus is talking about his return. And what did he say? The Son of Man will send forth his angels. His angel. He have possession of the angel. He owns the angel. Because what did Jesus say? All that the Father have belong to me. And they will gather out of his kingdom. Whose kingdom? The Messiah's kingdom. All stumbling blocks and those who commit lawlessness. For example, Muhammad. Why we know that Muhammad is very lawless according to the Messiah? The Messiah says, he that look upon a woman and lust have already committed adultery in his heart. Muhammad looked on his adopted son's wife, lusted for her, and then at the end of the day, his so-called God gave him the man's wife. Muhammad allowed his men to capture women, lust for these women, have sex with them, and then sold them as slaves. And this is the man that this guy is telling Christian to think about Jesus being buried beside this man. So Christian should put aside their belief that Jesus is alive and think about how these naive Muslims believe that he will come again and die and be buried beside Muhammad. Who is Muhammad compared to Jesus? Another verse. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. So us as Christian, we need to set aside the belief that Jesus is the resurrection and the life. And think about this Muslim and his mind game of thinking that Jesus will come back and be buried beside Muhammad. Wow. And he says the burial ground of Muhammad is the most precious place for him. Wow. A graveyard is the most precious place for this man. Because there are dead people walking. These Muslims are dead people walking. So a graveyard is the most precious place for this Muslim. Here we go. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even if he dies. So Jesus is saying that he is the resurrection and the life. But we must put away the fact that Jesus is the resurrection and the life and think about Jesus being dead, coming again, and then die and buried beside Muhammad. Wow. You know, the naiveness of a Muslim to think that Islam reverend Jesus is stupidity of a Muslim to believe that Islam show reverence to Jesus. No, they have no honor, no reverence for Jesus. The mother of Jesus in in the Quran, it's said to wish that she had died before giving birth to Jesus. The very mother of Jesus, according to the Quran, of Isa ibn Miriam. So Miriam wished that she had died before giving birth to Jesus. When the birth pain got to her, she said, I wish I have died and gone into oblivion before this. So even the very mother of Jesus, the Quran disrespect. Even the very mother of Jesus, the Quran disrespect. Is it the Quran that the only thing that disrespect the mother of Jesus? Let me share a video with something with you. I will show you. I won't read it, but I will let you read it yourself. And this is not for the ear of children. This is to expose Muslims, to show how dirty some of them are. But you will hear what the guy say. This community have so much reverence for Jesus. So he bunched all the Muslims into one thing and said, this community have reverence for Jesus. But let's show you what Jesus is these are what Jesus is these people talking about. Look at this. Just look at that. And you will see. You read it yourself. You read that yourself. You read that yourself. That's a Muslim. That is from a Muslim. And you tell me that this Muslim reverend have reverence for Jesus? They have no reverence for Jesus. They don't have no regard for our Jesus. Who do they regard? Isa ibn Miriam, the false Jesus. And even the false Jesus did not get any regard because his mother wished that she had died before giving birth to him. Do you see? This is Islam in a nutshell. But if you listen to this naive guy, what he's going to tell you, what he say to you, listen to him one more time. Listen to him one more time, and you will see what he is saying to you. What reverence this community must have for this man. What man? Did you see what the other Muslim just said? Did you see what the other Muslim just said? So what man do they have reverence for? That's what I would like to know. What man do they have reverence for? Do they have reverence for our Jesus? They are very unpleasant to interact with. All of them are. All of them. If I show you how my dialogue with Adamu Bukhari goes, and the amount of F word and the amount of names, that he called, homosexual names, and this is Islam. This is Islam. So what they do, they lie to you. They totally lie to you. They're not telling you the truth. They're definitely not telling you the truth. So let's get back and see our Jesus versus their Jesus. They're talking about a Jesus that will come back to die and be buried beside Muhammad, one of the worst person that ever lived in history. See, the thing is, these Muslims look at, oh, because some of them will tell you, billion of people follow Muhammad, so he must be a good person. No, no, he doesn't. That doesn't make him a good person. Billions of people follow Satan. That doesn't mean that Satan is good. Billions of people follow Satan. So that, when you come and you tell us that people follow Muhammad, that means Muhammad. No. What did the Apostle John says? He said, light has come in the darkness, but men refuse the light. I'm paraphrasing. And men rather darkness because their deeds are evil. So look, let's get back to our Jesus that this Muslim want us to set aside and to think about the fake Jesus that he believe, according to his naive so-called prophet, will come back and die. For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory, in the glory of his Father with his angel. Notice whose angel? The verse before show you that the angel belonged to the Son of Man. So we have, if we read Matthew 13, the angel belonged to the Son of Man. For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angel, and he will then repay every person according to their deed. He who? The Son of Man, the Messiah. So how is Jesus coming back to die, to sit and to be buried beside Muhammad? And we as Christians, you're coming into our church telling us this stupid stuff. Is that what Jesus thought? And how is that reverent? That we should believe that the one who is coming back to repay us and to get rid of evil is going to be dead and buried beside an evil man as Muhammad. Let's take a minute and look what Muhammad did. So Muhammad went out on an escapade and he captured some women, and his men wanted to have sex with the women, but they didn't want to do it in front of the husbands of these women. And Muhammad gave them the okay to do it. He gave them the okay to have sex with these women in front of while their husbands were still alive, because their husbands were polytheists. But what did the Messiah say? What did the Messiah say? Let's go. John 14, verse 15, if you love me, keep my commandment. Matthew 5, verse 44, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for them who persecute you. This is the commandment of the Messiah. So tell me, how should I feel when you are telling me that my Messiah is going to come back and be buried beside Muhammad? I should feel disgusted, very disgusted, that you would have a mind to come into the church of God to think that way. Come into the church of Christ. Come into the temple of Christ, because the temple belonged to Christ. Why? Jesus said, all that the Father have is mine. All that the Father have belong to me. So you walk into the temple of this king, and you are telling us that the king is going to come back and be buried beside this man who disobeyed the king. Isn't that disrespect? Isn't that disrespectful? It is like the KKK telling me that when I die, they're going to show me respect. That when I die, I'm going to be buried beside Adolf Hitler. Wow. Do you see the nonsense of these people, man? Total nonsense of these people. So let's go a little further. So you see what he says, for the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angel, and will repay every person according to their deed, including Muhammad. Including Muhammad. Now look at, let's get to another one. Here is the disciple of Jesus speaking. Here is the disciple of Jesus speaking, Peter speaking. Men of Israel, listen to these words. Jesus the Nazarene, a man attested to you by God, with miracles and wonders and signs, which God performed through him in your midst, just as yourself know. This man delivered over by a predestined plan and foreknowledge of God, you nailed to a cross by the hands of godless men and put to death. Put to death. Do you see that? And put to death. But God raised him from the dead, putting an end to the agony of death. Putting an end to the agony of death. So death have no hold over him, since it was impossible for him to be held in its power. It was impossible for Jesus to be held in the power of death. But this guy, this naive guy, went into a church and is telling the church people that Jesus will come again and die and be buried beside Muhammad. And he's laughing about it like he said something so glorious, and don't realize how naive this guy is. Naive and filthy this guy is, really. Would I want to be buried? No, we are talking about the sinless Messiah. Would I want to be buried beside Muhammad? No. Even though I don't care what happened to me when I'm dead, but would I want to be buried now that I have my mind? Would I want to be buried beside Muhammad? No. 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 I would never want to be buried beside Muhammad. So it's no honor for you to tell us that your community honor Jesus to the point where we should feel mushy that in our stomach that he is going to be buried beside your prophet. We don't feel that way. So let's look at how Jesus feel about Muhammad's God. I know I've shared this before, but it's good to share this all the time. You see where the disciple says that Jesus was killed. Now we show you how Jesus feel about Muhammad's God, and why would Jesus want to be buried beside Muhammad when Jesus think this way of Muhammad's God. Even if Jesus was a regular man, Jesus would not want to be buried by Muhammad, beside Muhammad, because Jesus feels this way about Muhammad God. So let's go and show you something. Over 500 years before Muhammad, Jesus indirectly told us that it is Satan that is behind Muhammad. Matthew 16, verse 21 to 23. Verse 21, Jesus is telling his disciple, he must be killed. Literally, that's what he says. He must be killed. Verse 22, Peter told Jesus, this will not happen to you. Verse 23, Jesus turned toward Peter and said, get behind me, Satan, or opposer. Now, this is what you need to take into consideration. If Jesus is calling, is referring to the source of Peter's information as Satan or opposer, what do you think that he would say about the angel, the so-called angel Gabriel, Jibril, who gave Muhammad his revelation? If Jesus is telling us that only Satan would say that he would not be killed, what do you think he would call the creature who told Muhammad that he was not killed? Surah 4, verse 157. This is a serious matter. Muhammad believed that he have a devil with him that was commanding him. So let's get to that part. Let's look at this for a minute. Let's look at this for a minute. And see what role does Jesus and Muhammad share. So let's look at this for a minute. Okay, so Muhammad initially believed that it was Satan who was giving him the God of Islam. Ibn Ishaq, Surat Rasul, The Life of the Prophet, page 106. I thought, woe is me, poet are possessed. But look how witless, let's put it straight, look how stupid Muhammad was. The Quran says, the God appoint for every prophet an enemy from the jinns, the devils, Satan, our devil. And the job of the appointed devil is to inspire decorative speech in delusion. This we find in Surah 6, verse 112. So in Surah 6, verse 112, the Quran is saying that Allah appointed for every prophet an enemy from the jinn, an enemy from the jinn and the devils. And the job of the appointed devil is to inspire decorative speech in delusions. Read it yourself. That's exactly what it says. That the devils inspire decorative speech in delusions. But Muhammad is telling his companion that his appointed enemy, the devil, whose job is decorative speech in delusion, is commanding him but for good. Sahih Muslim 39. So Sahih Muslim 39 is saying, in Sahih Muslim 39, the apostles of Muhammad asked him, Muhammad said, there is appointed to everyone a jinn. And they said, or a devil, or a shaitan. And they said to him, with you too, apostle of Allah? He said, yes. But his God help him with his devil, and the devil is only commanding him for good. But what did the Quran says? The Quran says in 6:112 that Allah appointed for every prophet an enemy from the jinn, an enemy. And the job of this appointed devil is to inspire decorative speech in delusions. And what did Muhammad's wife say about Muhammad? What did Muhammad's wife say about Muhammad? Just look at it for a minute. So here is Muhammad's wife. Narrated Aisha, once the Prophet was bewitched, so that he began to imagine that he had done a thing which in fact he had not done. Sahih al-Bukhari, 3175, book 58, hadith 17. He was bewitched. How do they know that he was bewitched? How do they know that this man was bewitched? From the get-go, this man was crazy. Bukhari, volume 9, hadith 111, told us that Muhammad was trying to kill himself after he started receiving revelation. So how do they draw to the conclusion that this man was bewitched and not that he was totally delusional from the get-go? Do you see what he says? That is God appointed to every prophet a devil. And the deeds of the devil is to inspire decorative speech in delusions. But his devil that is appointed to him as a prophet was commanding him. Wow. So Muhammad, devil was commanding Muhammad. And I thought Muhammad was the prophet to the devils. But here is a devil commanding Muhammad. Muhammad was not the commander of the devils. The devils were the commander of Muhammad. Where have you seen that kind of stupidity for us to be feeling gushy in our stomach when a Muslim says, Jesus is coming back to be buried beside Muhammad, and the most precious place for the Muslim is where Muhammad is buried. I thought the Kaaba should be the house of Allah, should be the most precious place, but the burial of place of Muhammad is the most precious place to this guy. Do you see where they have gone? This is where they have gone. This is where these people have gone, man. These people have gone to this place, a very dangerous place. Very dangerous place. And they will come into your church to make you believe that they are with you, but they are not. They are not with you. They are not with you in any way, any form, any way. They are not with you in any way or any form. So I want to end this broadcast here by saying, man, all praises to the Almighty God, man. All praises to the triune God, the God above God, the God who gave us wisdom to decipher many things. And I just want to go out with this, saying this right here. So let's go out saying something that make more sense than what this Muslim is saying. So listen to this. Oh, okay. I think I think we have it muted here. So let's say,
stay away from Islam.
Stay away from Islam. Straightforward. Stay away from Islam. So I want to say our praises to the triune God. I want to say that the triune God is above all God. Give us wisdom and knowledge to understand and to not be mushy with Muslims. We are not supposed to be mushy. We are supposed to be loving them, but we are not supposed to be mushy with them. When they talk their nonsense, we need to show them out, and we need to show them out, not softly. Because if you are talking about a regular Muslim, it's okay because they don't know what they're doing. But a Muslim like this, you're not supposed to be soft with a Muslim like this, who come into a church telling you that they have reverence for Christ when they don't. They have no reverence at all for Christ. You've seen through this video that I made that they have no reverence for our Jesus. They are just fraud, and they're pretentious fraud. This is how they get close to you and get you to be mushy, to say, oh, what's the difference? Then we're just like them. We're worshiping the same God. I saw Sam Shamoun show a video where a security guard, actually, who is a Christian, say that they're worshiping the same God as the Muslim. No, we are not. We are not worshiping their God. And even though the Christians who are Arab Christian call our God Allah, it is not the God of the Quran. The God of the Quran is not a father to anyone. The God of the Quran doesn't have a son called Jesus Christ. It doesn't. So we are not worshiping the same God. They are worshiping a false God, bowing to it and kissing a stone. And we know that the pagans used to worship stones, and they continue that pagan ritual hidden under the guise of a God. That's what it's doing. Stone worshiping under the guise of a God. If Satan wanted them to worship stone openly, the religion would have died already. So he used an invention that appeared to be our God, the Jewish God, and hid stone worship behind this God, this invented God. If Muhammad have a devil that was commanding him, that's a devil's. How do you know what the devil was telling him? We never heard any prophet before Muhammad saying that a devil was commanding him. We have never heard a prophet say that Satan sleep in your head and you must wash your nose in the morning before you pray. So Satan sleep in your head like a hotel, and you need to wash and clean that hotel before you pray to the God that Satan gave to you. So I want to say peace out and God bless you all, man. I had to do this quick broadcast because I haven't done one for a little while, and I try to do at least 3 per week. So I want to say peace out and God bless you all, man. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. And thank you for everything, man. Share the video. Let it go viral, even if it's not viral, let more people see it. And God bless you all, man.